It's Bearcat Blitz starting up the month of August, and that means a new wonderful partnership, a new presenting sponsor for the show. I'm your host, Russ Heltman. He's my co-host, Neil Meyer, and Bearcat Blitz presented on the Believe Network, and we are presented by FanDuel, America's number one sports book. So glad to have FanDuel in the fold. You can find them for all the best lines, all the best odds, all of the best markets, almost every market available to you via FanDuel sports betting platforms. And we obviously have a big one coming your way via the Cincinnati Bearcats in just a month's time, exactly 4 weeks away from when we are recording this episode. Cincinnati takes on Nebraska on August 28th. The Cincinnati Bearcats football team up against the Nebraska Cornhuskers. They are 6.5-point underdogs right now on FanDuel Sportsbook. You can bet that line there at a minus 105 odd figure, and they are plus 190 on the money line. So you can almost double or almost triple your money on a money line bet with FanDuel Sportsbook, America's number one sportsbook. Check them out, please, and make sure to make FanDuel your top choice when you are betting during this college football season. A college football season also includes the Bearcats at 27-1 to win the Big 12. Getting into a really fun show with everybody today. Early camp thoughts. How does the football team look? I was able to get out there for one session. Neil's been out there for every session so far at Camp Higher Ground. They got the day off on Thursday, back at it on Friday into the weekend, and then a return home to the IPF and all of the wonderful, wonderful accoutrements awaiting them there back at home in the new facility. And then we will get to a signing from the Cincinnati Bearcats alumni group into the NFL. Jared Bartlett, leading sack man for Cincinnati last season, signing with an NFC team. We'll discuss that in the back half of the show. All that coming up on Bearcat Blitz after these messages presented by FanDuel Sportsbook, America's number one sportsbook. Bearcat Blitz, welcoming Neil Meyer in now as we get ready for some more fall camp action. I know I will be there on Saturday morning. Everything else has been on the weekday morning. So me with the radio gig during the day, I cannot get out there, but Neil has been out there. I'm impressed with what we have cooking, Neil, on the special teams front with coordinator Luke Pascal. We'll get to that in just a moment, but hit us with the top kind of traits, top moments for you over the first 3 days on offense and defense, whichever phase you want to start with.
Yeah, overall, we're now three practices in, right? Yesterday was the first day of pads. Well, Wednesday was the first day of pads. And Russ, I kid you not, the energy on Wednesday at Camp Higher Ground was phenomenal. I think every time I looked down, I felt my Apple Watch going off. It said, quote unquote, loud environment, 90 decibels or higher. The pads were clicking on Wednesday afternoon. They were hitting people, they weren't shying away from contact either. So, little live action to start fall camp early, a little bit earlier than what we anticipated in years past, knowing fall camp is 3 weeks long. But day three, and you're already hitting with the pads is a good sign, especially with an earlier start date with the week one matchup versus Nebraska. But the offense, right? Defense won the first 2 days. It's safe to say that. Uh, Matthew McDoom came away with a big interception on day one. A very stellar play by McDoom, who's set in stone to kind of have a superior role for Cincinnati's defense, and he's living up to all the expectations so far over the first week of fall camp at that cornerback position. But been really impressed with the linebacker group, Russ, for Cincinnati. I know Scott Satterfield mentioned that he feels like that is the most deep or the deepest position group of this team, arguably, right? You look down at that group specifically, you have Jake Golday, Jack Dingle, Simeon Coleman, Monte Whedon, Mook Sims is in there. You have a couple up, Jonathan Thompson as well. That is the deepest position group. And then you have a guy like Sincere Lewis, who is coming back off an ACL injury and who is looking very well despite battling two knee injuries the last 2 seasons. So overall, that linebacker position, man, I'm excited for. I'm excited. I mean, Simeon Coleman was running around on Wednesday, and he was ready to go out there and do what he did in 2024, Russ. And I mean, you and I saw it firsthand. He saw nearly 500 snaps as a freshman, but Man, I'm excited for a guy like him and Monte Whedon there at that linebacker position alongside guys like Jake Golday, Jack Dingle, and Jonathan Thompson. I'm very excited for that linebacker room. But man, I think the defense has taken a huge step already. They went out, they added experience, they added veteran guys, Christian Harrison, the return Antoine Peak, Logan Wilson comes back for another year. You get Matthew McDoom in the picture as well. Man, Russ, I'm excited for this defense. And then you have the front seven or the front three for Cincinnati. It was good to see Micah Coleman back out there. It's good to see Jalen Hunt back out there fully healthy after both of those guys missed the entire 2024 season with separate injuries. But man, Michael Coleman, I'm fascinated by
Yeah,
Michael
how's Micah
Coleman.
look coming off of the Achilles, Neil? How does his explosion look?
Explosive. He looks
Good,
explosive. He looks
good.
like what they anticipated him to be in 2024 prior to rupturing that Achilles. And man, Russ, he looks the part, right? 6'5", 250 pounds on the edge, and he can move. He is so athletic. He is so twitchy as well. Man, he can really get after the quarterback. He is going to be a staple for Cincinnati on that defensive end position. And then guys like Marquez Parker, he's not shying away from any opportunity. I know he got thrown to the fire last year in a situation where he probably wasn't anticipating many snaps, but man, I know Joe Cotton told me he's most excited for a matchup with a guy like Marquez Parker. He says Marquez has been talking a lot and he's really excited to have that matchup. And once you hear a veteran offensive tackle in Joe Cotton, who has played at South Dakota and he's set in stone to be Cincinnati's starting left tackle, to hear him give that kind of praise and say this is the matchup I want, that's a very promising sight for Cincinnati's defense. So I'm
Yeah.
very excited
Micah
to hear
Coleman,
that.
what, Neil? It was Coach Satterfield announced it during his first press conference of before fall camp. I think it maybe his first press availability of fall camp last year that Coleman ruptured his Achilles. So we don't have an exact date on when it happened, but
It was an
firmly
off-season injury that was away from the facility, if I remember
right. It
correctly.
was
That's how he stated
sometime
it.
in the late spring, early summerish type of range there, and he's going to be 12 plus months out from that Achilles, which is always a good range to come back from as opposed to trying to come back within that dangerous 12-month window.
Especially with That's a great turning point, especially with the strength and conditioning staff. I mean, everybody I have talked to has had nothing but high praise and love for Nico Palazetti, Chris Friend,
It's
guys
turning into
who
college football's most well kept secret, the strength staff, Neil, because they
it
got
really is.
continuity all over the place too.
It really is. And I mean, you heard Scott Satterfield give nearly a 2-minute speech about how well and how much continuity they have within that strength and conditioning room. I mean, you look across college football right now, Russ, and not many strength and conditioning teams contain can be able to retain their whole staff for not only 1 or 2 years, but yet alone 3 years. And Cincinnati staff, I mean, man, if I played football, I would suit up and I would go to war for Nico Palazetti, right? His energy is just through the roof. And not only that, but you can sense how much he cares about these players, how much he loves these guys. He loves being around them. He's ready to be there when these guys need a guy that can come in and kind of be there for him, just support them. And Nico Palazetti, he's a freaking fantastic human being, and I wish there was other words to describe it, but man, Nico's freaking awesome. And he always checks on us. He checks on all the media members, but you hearing
He's a
it,
fun dude.
I've heard it from 5 to 6 different guys in the last week. I know we've done about 10 different interviews in the last 4 or 5 days, but Joe Cotton has been here roughly what a month and a half, Russ, and heard he's already put 110 pounds back onto his back squat. Nico's added 110 pounds onto his back squat record. So these guys are working. So it's great to see that these strength and conditioning coaches are getting the recognition they deserve as well.
No doubt about it. Fun first few days of fall camp for Cincinnati Bearcats football. I got to talk to new special teams coordinator Luke Pascal on what was that Monday? Yeah, Monday afternoon, and I love the intensity, man. He brings a fun intensity
He does
level.
bring some energy. I've noticed it.
Yeah,
It's not the Kerry Combs where they're going through field goals. He's spraying you with water while he's drinking his coffee kind of thing. But man, he is energetic.
yeah.
He is energetic. He will give it to you straight too. So that's a good thing you wanted to hear. But Russ, I think more so over the last 2 days, I've been able to hear Coach Pascal from the other practice field. If I'm checking out the defense and special teams is going on one side, you're able to hear Coach Pascal getting these guys right, ready for this upcoming season.
Yeah, he told me about the process this offseason of wanting to go through. He said he watched every single rep twice over by this point in the calendar. He was watching more for body type. He's watching for body type, less so. He said he's not worried about the result of the play, not necessarily worried about the scheme or what they're running. He's looking for which of the body types that are returning from last year can be most effective in his special team system going into this season. And then obviously he's very happy to have nothing to worry about with the punter and kicker situation. You're locked in, you're solid there with Max Fletcher sporting a new haircut, we will say, and Stephen Rusnak at the kicker and punter position. Returner though, Neil, that's where we had our longest part of the conversation. He said he revealed that it was all voluntary. They did not ask any player to do any returning tryouts this season. They left it all on the floor for if you wanted to do it, it was all up to you. They did voluntary return tryouts this offseason in between the spring, kind of in between the spring and summer window when he was hired in May. And he said those went really well. He mentioned a Logan Wilson. He mentioned a Manny Covey as guys that could be potentially mixing in there. And he also noted, Neil, kind of the difference in kick returning versus punt returning. Punt returning a little bit more difficult
Hmm.
because the bullets are flying a little bit faster. You have a little bit less space and time to react to the football. And the biggest thing he drove home, Neil, which you and I mean, how many times did we look at each other in the press box down the line if we weren't sitting next to each other and just shake our heads and groan, thinking they let another punt go unfielded? They gave up another 15 yards of field position by not fielding that punt. That was the biggest emphasis I took
Yep.
away from Coach Pascal and Neil is we aren't necessarily going to be looking for explosive plays all over the place in the special teams, but we need to eat our vegetables and we need to hit the low hanging fruit and pick that when it's there. Namely, the low hanging fruit being those low hanging or the high hanging punts that are hanging in the air a long time and letting the
Taking
punt
the fair
defense get
catch
down
and
the field. You got to fair catch it at the very least and not
mhm.
let these footballs turn into 15, 16, 17, 20 extra yards of positive field position for the opposing squad punting it to the Bearcats.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned the returning aspect, Russ. I mean, I've seen five, six, seven, maybe eight different guys back there fielding punts between the likes of Barry Jackson, Cyrus Allen,
Yeah.
Caleb Goody, Logan Wilson, Barry Jackson. There's been quite a Manny Covey as well. There's been quite. I even saw Tolby Walker and Evan Pryor back there fielding some
There you
punts
go.
the other day. There's so many guys that are back there taking reps at returning punts, returning kickoffs. But the one thing I will note, Russ, is I would not be surprised if that return man is a guy like Cyrus Allen or Caleb Goody, because man, those two can fly. And I mean, once they see a hole, they're hitting it. It's game over. It's game over because those guys got so good speed. Like I saw Caleb Goody hit the hole the other day in one special teams drill, and you look back and you're like, oh shoot, that's that 22-mile-an-hour speed that people were talking about. Like Caleb Goody can fly. Not
Who's
not
the guy
only
who said he's? I saw you tweet this yesterday. You said he's trying to hit
Matthew
24.
McDoom's in there as well. Yeah,
Yeah,
Matthew McDoom as well. He said Scott Satterfield said he's the fastest guy, 23 is what he was clocked at on the
that's
catapult speeds.
so
But
fast, man. What Tyreek Hill? He tops out. He's I think the fastest runner in the NFL last year was like between 22 and a half and 23 miles an hour.
I asked Matthew straight up. I said, "Hey, like, what's your number for this year?" And he said he feels comfortable he could hit 24. He feels comfortable he could hit 24, and he can move. He can move.
I guess those numbers, Neil, were they measure those as ball carrier speeds. So it's probably almost impossible to hit 24 as a ball carrier. But yeah, I mean,
And two,
straight up running like this with your arms going back and forth, you could
and
probably
that's
he
it's
might hit
also
it.
too. It's worth noting if they had pads on or not. But
Right, exactly.
But
Yeah.
Matthew McToom, he can fly, man. He can fly. I'm excited for him. I know I had a little bit of fun trash talk between Logan Wilson and Matthew McDoom. We heard they both are quick. I know we did ask both about their feelings on the NCAA game ratings, whether they like their ratings or whatnot. Logan Wilson had a strong message, Russ, to the EA Sports Committee about how he is not liking his speed ranking. He was like, "Man, they got me an 85." He goes, "I need to send them my catapult numbers or something. I just hit 22 and a half miles an hour. Like, I need somebody to check these out." But we're lobbying for him. But man, yeah,
They don't
they
have a
got
Chad Johnson in their corner like Jamar Chase did to get him to a 99 in Madden.
yeah, they got some speedsters though, man. Now I'm excited for Matthew McDoom and Logan Wilson because Man, those are two of the biggest trash talkers I have ever seen in covering this program. But man, Russ, they back it up on the field too. And you heard Brendan talk about it. He was like, "Yeah, well, those guys they like to talk trash after I throw a play or they get a pass breakup." And Logan looked at me. He said, "Yeah, well, Brendan defense came away with 2 picks on Tuesday." And after talking to Logan, Logan was like, "Yeah, I'm going right over there to the cold tub. I'm going to talk my trash to Brendan right now." And I was like, all right, like here we go. Like those are the kind of guys you need in your defense and your secondary to get this ball moving. But yeah, man, I'm excited. That special teams is going to be a huge thing, Ross. Because if Cincinnati has another outbreak like they did last year, where not only that you have all the blunders and the special teams where you're just letting the ball when you're returning it, you have the muff punts, which costed them 2 or 3 games last season, 2 to 3 possessions at least. Then you can't make a field goal and whatnot. You're letting teams come and run 15, 20 yards of extra field position on you. Those are the turning points in games, right? And I mean, a big one in that moment was Texas Tech. So
Hmm.
overall, I think special teams, and man, I'm fired up for Luke Pascal. I think it's going to be a difference maker this year. I really do, Russ.
I I like what he was telling me. I like a lot of what he was telling me. You can check out the Luke Pascal interview article on Talking Cats with Russ Heltman and on Cincinnati Bearcats on SI. And of course, subscribe to the Front Office News. They have their new partnership with Lockerverse, as evidenced by Neil talking about that. I think you mentioned that a couple weeks ago, but please subscribe to their new offering. You can get all their exclusive interviews via that subscription as well. Just look up the Front Office News.com to check all that out, and check out FanDuel Sportsbook, our presenting sponsor, our wonderful presenting sponsor, the America's #1 sportsbook, where Cincinnati has a betting line out for their matchup against Nebraska. They're 6.5-point underdogs right now, and that defense of Cincinnati going to try to keep this game total down, which is sitting at a whopping 51.5 points, with lower odds or higher odds on the under than the over. People expecting a lot of points in this game at a 51.5 point mark on FanDuel Sportsbook, America's #1 sportsbook. We'll be right back after these messages on Bearcat Blitz. Bearcat Blitz, final few minutes here, presented by FanDuel Sportsbook on the Believe Network. I'm your host, Russ Heltman. He's my co-host, Neil Meyer. Russ Heltman of Cincinnati Bearcats on SI, and Neil from the Front Office News.com. 1 week, Neil. Just 1 week at Camp Higher Ground for the Cincinnati Bearcats football team, as opposed to the normal 2 that they do out at Camp Higher Grounds. It makes sense that they're doing it this way. You got a lot more of the bells and whistles to work with, a lot more of the tracking computer data to work with, all of that stuff just easier to work with back inside of your brand new IPF in the heart of the Clifton campus. It makes sense. I think this is the way to do it. I think this is probably what we'll see moving forward, Neil, for the rest of this decade, at least the rest of the Scott Satterfield tenure. And as long, I mean, the vision for this IPF, as told to us by John Cunningham at the unveiling ceremony, is decades of stability for this IPF, decades of use for all of the teams in the athletic program sphere. It just to me feels like probably we've maybe seen the last of extended multiple week stays at Camp Higher Ground, just because it just financially, resourcefully, there's just not really many reasons to stay there longer than a week which gives you that bonding ability, that breakaway ability, that get away from the meat grinder of Clifton ability, and be able to bond with your teammates, but you're also not foregoing some of the beneficial aspects of your own facility by doing that kind of 1 week buffer period between your stints in Clifton.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know when I spoke to Gavin Gerhardt the other day, I believe it was on Monday. For Gavin, for those who don't know, this is his eighth camp hire
Crazy.
now, which is crazy because he spent 2 years in high school. He told me it was 5 days or 4 nights, 5 days out there at Camp Higher Ground. And man, doing that in high school, that's crazy. But to then do
It
it
was the
six
same
years,
kind of thing, like where the high school brought the whole football team out
yeah,
there.
brought the whole football team out there.
Nice.
But Gavin told me he was like, man, I'm gonna have to talk to coach about this because 5, 6 days. Gavin said it was soft just being a week out there. He said I could stay out
Okay.
here 3 weeks. But I mean, thinking about it, Gavin, his first camp high ground with UC, if I remember right, was 2019, 2019, and that was a 20-day stay at
Yeah,
camp
they
high
used to go
ground.
three. It used to be basically
It used
all
to
of
be.
camp until the week before the first game.
So Gavin was like, "Man, I think it's kind of soft, man." Like he was brutally honest. He was like, "I think it's kind of soft if you ask me." He goes, "I might go talk to Coach Sat and see if we can get 2 or 3 extra days out here." And Gavin has that power. I mean, everybody looks to him, and we've heard how much of people look up to his leadership, especially this week. I mean, man, seeing what Gavin Gerhardt does for this program really goes undervalued for the outsiders looking in. Like we can see it since we're around the program, but man, Gavin Gerhardt's going to go down as probably a 3-time captain who's going to be recognized for years to come for what he's done for this program.
He's a
I
he's a
mean,
James P. Kelly Hall of Fame candidate, I would say for sure.
yes, absolutely. I mean, Russ, I saw 2 guys struggling with the heat. I mean, it did feel like 110 out there the other day. And here comes Gavin getting ice towels, dropping them on the shoulders, picking guys up, making sure they're hydrated. Like, man, that's just an ultimate captain right there. Like, shout out to Gavin. He's been a great story over his 6 years. But man, 6 higher grounds, Russ. That's crazy. That's crazy because you and I go out there and
It's a lot.
we're struggling just taking our notes on the sideline at times. Like we know it can be brutal, but imagine going through it in pads. But it makes sense while they're utilizing the practice facility. It really does. But I think going forward, we'll probably see more of the
Maybe
one
10 days. Maybe 10 days is the happy medium they
yeah, I
land
think
on.
I think you will see a 6 to 10 day range every
Yeah.
year before coming back to the IPF. So I know Joe Cotton was man, he was telling me he was fired up to be at Camp Higher Ground. So he was like, I've never done nothing like this, but he goes, I could stay out here 3, 4 weeks if you need me to. And Joe Cotton, if you guys haven't checked out the interview, fantastic interview, definition of a Bearcat, through and through definition of a Bearcat. Pads were clicking yesterday. Russ, he told me, he goes, man, pads were hitting. He goes, I love this. I love when pads are hitting. Like, I asked him, I was like, you ever get tired of hitting your own teammate? He goes, oh hell no. I can go out here. I can hit these guys all day. It's making me better. Like he's just a great addition for Cincinnati. So overall, I think that's a great piece there. But these guys are enjoying Camp High Ground, and I know I got a good video yesterday, Russ, of those guys chemistry's there, and you can see Camp Higher Ground brings you closer, and that's why it's so important to keep this tradition going. But I got a good video yesterday after practice of some of the guys hanging out and kind of hanging out. They were singing some R&B songs. They were getting locked in. I think it was a group of about 8 or 9 of them. Kai Stokes was leading the charge. So overall, the chemistry's clicking for Cincinnati.
Chemistry hopefully clicking for Jared Bartlett with the Green Bay Packers moving forward in his NFL career as the Packers sign him to a training camp deal this week. Neil, Jared Bartlett treated us with just the utmost respect, was a really stand-up guy, a classy veteran, a classy player, really great with the media. I loved interacting with him last season. Unfortunately, only got to spend 1 year with him as a transfer over from West Virginia for his final college campaign, but made an impact with the Bearcats. Was their best pass rusher in 2024.
Best
And
defensive player as well. You look
yeah, I mean, you
down
could him and Dante, you right up there. I mean,
because he
in
led the
terms of
team in
total impact.
tackles. He led the team in tackles for loss, sacks. Like Jared Bartlett was your glue guy last year.
Yeah, and he gets a chance now to fulfill his NFL dream. Hopefully, he can stick with the Packers, if not on their active roster, as part of the practice squad in some capacity, and keep cashing those NFL checks. But good to see Jared Bartlett getting a shot in the NFL with the rest of his classmates coming out in 2025.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, he signed with the Jets as an undrafted free agent days after the draft. I know he was weighing his options. He got released earlier last week from New York. He went and he worked out for the Saints, and then he worked out for the Packers, and the Packers signed him minutes after his workout was over. So overall, I think it's great to see him kind of land on his feet, even if he doesn't get an active roster. I think he has a home in Green Bay, right? And I mean, people forget. Russ, I don't know if you knew this or not, but do you know who his brother is?
No.
His brother's Stephon Tuitt
Oh, the defensive tackle?
from Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Nice.
So he's got great resources and great people behind him. that will help guide him to a potential spot in the NFL. Especially if there's a guy who knows anything, it's Stephon Tuitt, who had a stellar 7, 8 year career for Pittsburgh. So overall, to see him kind of get another opportunity is great. Because Jared Bartlett, I mean, he's a guy you can do so much with, right? You know what you're going to get with him as a linebacker, but he's so quick. He's so twitchy. You can use him to rush the passer. You can do so much with Jared Bartlett. So hopefully Green Bay he gets everything acclimated, gets the playbook down, and he finds a role in Green Bay. But really happy to see him join a former Bearcat and John Williams out there
Yep.
in Green Bay. Both of those guys spent the 2024 season together. So really excited to see Jared Bartlett get a new opportunity.
New presenting sponsor, a new month upon us, a new football season upon us, new opportunities for former Bearcats. It's all springing anew right here on Bearcat Blitz, presented by FanDuel Sportsbook, America's #1 sportsbook. We can't thank them enough for becoming a presenting sponsor on the Believe Network. For Neil Meyer, I'm Russ Heltman. This has been Bearcat Blitz on the Believe Network. Have a great weekend, everybody.